Can I have your attention, please? Ooh, that's loud. Greetings to the voters of Madawaska. I call this annual school budget hearing town meeting to order. All town of Madawaska residents are asked to please check in with the ballot clerk so that you may vote. Article 1, to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Do I have a motion to nominate a moderator? Paul? Do I have a second? Paul Lozier? Any other motions to nominate a moderator? Do I have a motion to cease nominations? Cease by deplored. Do I have a second? Pierre Susi. All those in favor of Berman Benville as moderator, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Moderator, please come forward to be sworn in.
I, Berman Benville, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof. I, Berman Benville, do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as moderator of this meeting according to the Constitution and the laws of the state. Good evening. Do you hear me all right with my mask on? Okay. As I've said in the past at meetings, I do not accept negative motions. I only accept positive motions. That way there is no confusion. If somebody is for the article, they vote yes. If they're not, they vote no. I also do not allow personalities to get involved. Keep the discussion to the issues at hand. Before we start, I would need a motion that would allow non-residents to speak. There are members of the administration that are not residents of Madawaska, so I would need a motion now to allow them to speak during the meeting. I have a motion by Lester. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor of allowing non-residents to speak at the meeting? Any opposed? In that vein, the superintendent would like a few minutes to explain some things about the budget.
Good evening. On March 16, 2020, our entire lives were turned upside down as we determined what would be best and safest for students and staff to work remotely from home outside of the classrooms for the first time ever. The turnaround time for this was 2 days. 2 days to deliver online instruction, 2 days to deliver lunches to every home that needed them, 2 days to change the face of education forever. Although this transition was not easy and was not perfect, we are extremely grateful to the teachers, the parents, the students who live this every day. The work you accomplished during this remote learning phase of this year was nothing short of remarkable. I have no doubt that our district shined compared to so many other districts across the state and the nation. We thank the administration, the school committee members, and also you, the community, for your unwavering support as we entered the unknown. Although that unknown still lingers, we feel that we will soon have a plan to reintegrate back into school and provide refined and retooled remote learning experiences for those who need it, or for those who are unable to return to the classroom. Our plan at this time, however, is to get back to school safely so that our students can begin to recapture lost learning and have the social, emotional supports that they so desperately need. The following budget provides our commitment not to ask for more from the community and we are thankful that we have the opportunity to bring you a budget that will not increase local taxes. As we support you, we thank you for supporting us during these unprecedented times. Thank you.
Okay. Article 1, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for regular instruction. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $2,733,219. Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any questions, comments? Mr. Dufour.
I don't need a mic, but I'll speak anyways, so the public can hear. Tonight, I'm here on behalf of the people of Madawaska to represent the disappointment that this school committee and this school administration hasn't been able to look deep into their pockets and make real cuts to our school budget. I'm finding that this year that last year we took a hit of $3 million, which represented about, give or take, about $700,000 of the school budget that the townspeople, the taxpayers had to pay because their grand slam dunk that they had proposed failed. And here we are, we're promoting another school budget that has a $660,000, I believe it's $660,000, don't give me, I don't have the exact numbers. But you say it's not increase our taxpayers. What if that funding doesn't come true? Where do we stand at that point? And the other second point is, we had a $3 million rate increase last year, and the year before, we had a $1.3 million increase in our budget that was paid by surplus money from the town of Madawaska, which, if you put the numbers together, that was over $3 million in expenses between the town of Madawaska, the municipal, and the education system. And here today, we stand here with almost an $8 million budget, and we still haven't been able to make up for the $3 million that we spent in the last 2 years that Twin Rivers was supposed to pick up the tab in that tune of that $3 million. And you have a board here, and you have an administration here that's saying, we don't have a problem, we're not raising the mill rate. You might not be raising the mill rate, but you're raising the cost of education substantially. Whether the money comes from local or state, it still comes out of the taxpayer's pocket, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken. So the question I have now is, is this $660,000 or the increase without a mill increase, is that a guaranteed sum? Can anybody answer that question?
Mr. Dufour, first of all, this year's budget process is very different than in years past, and that's because you have a new administration that are doing things a little bit differently. In the past, revenues may have been put inside the budget to offset what the total budget looked like. This year, we separated expenditures from revenues completely. So your expenditures may look like we have a grand increase. You said 600 and something thousand. I'll check with Lucy. I believe it's 473,000 on the expenditure side. But we also have a difference of 669 increase on the revenue side. So you have to look at the expenditures and the revenues together. The commitment to us, to the town of Madawaska, is to not increase taxes to the local taxpayers. We've done that successfully. Do costs of education go up? Yes, the cost of everything goes up. But we're not being fiscally irresponsible. We're being very responsible, and that's why we are very proud that we can take you a budget that has zero increase to the local taxes. Now, there are some factors in the additional state subsidy that factor into that. The state of Maine has required all school districts to make a $35,000 minimum wage requirement for teachers. That's going to go up to $37,500 next year, $40,000 the year after that. We get additional state subsidies to help absorb all of those increased costs. Some of that was in this budget, so we could do that. Your teachers negotiated in good faith this year, decided not to take an increase on their salary steps. All they did was take a step on last year's salary step. Again, good faith by the teachers. Your administration here agreed to only accept a cost of living upgrade of 1.6% on their base salary in order to have some kind of stance moving forward. We realize that these are tough times, and this school committee did exactly what it needs to do to support this community, 0% increase.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering how the system works. I live on East Main Street. Probably a month ago, within 10 minutes, 4 buses came in front of my house, going west. 4 of them within 10 minutes. Now, you just said that you're delivering meals to those that need it. By what people tell me, anybody in this cistern can get food for their kids. Is this true or is that false?
The school lunch program that was provided to us starting on March 17 was part of the summer school lunch program. It's a national school lunch program. It's fully funded by the national government. So it's not even a state program, it's the national government, the summer lunch program. They have very strict requirements that you cannot restrict that program to anyone on an income base. So any child from birth who eats solid foods to 18 qualifies for a free lunch. There are no costs to the district for that. It is all fully reimbursable by the federal government, and the state is also providing us reimbursement for the fuel mileage for our buses, so there was zero cost completely to the town.
Who pays the bus driver?
The federal government, it's a federal program.
It's costing zero, zilch, rien
Zilch.
to the town.
Zero.
Good.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of Article 1 for regular instruction budget, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? Article 2, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for special education. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $1,223,048. Do I have a motion for special education? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 2 for special education, please signify. Any opposed? Article 3, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for career and technical education. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $0. Do I have a motion to accept Article 3? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any questions or comments on Article 3 for career and technical education? Yes.
How is it being funded if it's not in this budget? This gives permission to spend, but where's that money coming from?
2 years ago, Mr. Ouellette, the state decided to fund the CTE centers with their own ED 279. So now the center gets their own funding mechanism. So the only time that you would see any monies in this article is if they were asking for more than what their ED 279 was from the state. So they have their own funding mechanism now.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 3 for career and technical education, please signify. Any opposed? Article 4, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for other instruction. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $110,895. Do I have a motion for Article 4? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Dufour.
It's mostly your extracurricular, co-curricular activities. That's primarily what falls under this article, your sports, your clubs, that type of thing.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 4, please signify. Any opposed? Article 5, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for student and staff support. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $737,807. Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Any questions or comments on Article 5? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 5? Any opposed? Article 6, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for system administration. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $411,089. Do I have a motion on Article 6? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on Article 6?
What is system administration?
Your system administration is essentially your central office. So it's my office and all the functions of my office. So the Valley Unified Education Service Center that serves the 3 districts, it's the costs that fund, like for me, for Lucy, for Giselle, and the central office staff. And the school board.
I thought that was funded by the tri-community.
Yeah, and it's funded in this article, so your share of that goes there. So this is Madawaska's share of that cost.
I thought that share was coming out of that state fund that you guys had for that.
We have additional subsidy that comes in, so in our revenues, you'll see a subsidy that we get for being part of that. They also pay, the state pays 55% of my salary and benefits. So that's already also a perk that you guys get for being part of that Valley Unified thing. It doesn't pay everything, but it pays a lot of those costs.
Any other questions or comments on Article 6? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 6, please signify. Any opposed? Article 6 is passed. Article 7, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for school administration. The school committee and the finance committee recommend $334,143. Do I have a motion on Article 7? I have a motion. Second. Any questions or comments on Article 7? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 7, please signify. Any opposed? Article 8, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for transportation and buses. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $660,529. Do I have a motion on Article 8? Motion and a second. Any questions or comments on transportation and buses? Yes, Mr. Dufour.
I hate to be the only one asking questions, but geez, I'm letting somebody else try. Now, does this include the salaries of the bus drivers and the maintenance?
Our bus drivers are bus driver custodians, so part of their salary is here under this line. The other one will be under facilities because depending on their split of their job responsibilities. So it does include their split on salaries and health insurance of the drivers for that share of their job. It's also other things like bus purchase. We purchase a bus every year, get reimbursed in the following year for it, and then the diesel and the fuel and all those things.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of transportation and buses, Article 8, please signify. Any opposed? Article 9, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for facilities maintenance. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $1,075,402. Do I have a motion on Article 9? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on Article 9 on facilities maintenance? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 9, please signify. Any opposed? Article 10, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for debt service and other commitments. Both the school committee and the finance committee recommend $0. Do I have a motion to accept Article 10? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on Article 10?
Who's paying for the debt service that we have for the biofuel system that we have there? We still have to pay till 2000, believe, 28, 29?
Yeah, that actually comes under Article 9, under facilities. You'd see that the repayment loan is there. Total capital renewal and borrowing is that line, the last line under Article 9. This would be for new borrowing that would happen.
How much debt service do we have still left over?
The annual payment is $157. We have until 2028.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Article 10 on debt service and other commitments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 10, please signify. Any opposed? Article 11, to see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to expend for all other expenditures. Note, school nutrition is now covered in its own separate article. The school committee and the finance committee both recommend $0. Do I have a motion on Article 11? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on Article 11? Mr. Willett.
Just explain the article so that we'll know what it is.
There are some things that will fall in this article that don't fit in any of the articles, and right now the only thing that fits there is the school nutrition program, and the reason you're seeing $0 is because the revenue is totally offsetting the expenditures for the school lunch program. It's in its own article. Okay. So do you want to explain that? I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on.
Like Mr. Sirwa said, this article is to capture anything that doesn't fit in the other warrant articles up to 1 to 10. If we have any costs that require additional local funds, that's where we would put them. In this case, school lunch, we have the option of either funding it here or funding it in its own article, and we feel that it fits better in its own article. So Article 15 that will be coming up will deal with specifically with school lunch only.
Any other questions or comments on Article 11? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify. Any opposed? Article 12. To see what sum the town of Madawaska will appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essentials Program and Services Funding Act. Recommended $5,490,911.33, and to see what sum the town of Madawaska will raise as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Program and Services Funding Act, in accordance with Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15688. That amount is recommended is $2,559,385.66. Both the school committee and the finance committee recommend $5,490,911.33 as state share and $2,559,385.66 as the local share. The town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Program and Services Funding Act, is the amount of money determined by state law to be the minimum amount that the district must raise and assess in order to receive the full amount of state dollars. Do I have a motion on Article 12? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 12, please signify. Any opposed? Article 13, and on this article, there will be a written ballot required by state statute. To see what sum the town of Madawaska will raise and appropriate in additional local funds, recommended $1,076,297, which exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation, modeled by $1,076,297, as required to fund the budget recommended by the school board. The school committee recommends $1,076,297 for additional local funds and gives the following reasons for exceeding the state's essential programs and services funding model by $1,076,297. The state of Maine's essential program and services formula does not provide for the actual cost of operating expenses plus full costs of such as special education, substitute teachers, supplies and equipment, professional development, athletics and co-curricular expenses, system administration support, increased costs of heating, energy and diesel fuel, operation of plant, and costs of transportation of students over long distances, as we have in the town of Madawaska. The EPS formula underestimates inflationary costs and salary ranges that are characteristic of a community or geographical area. The additional local funds are those locally raised funds over and above the district's local contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Program and Services Funding Act, and local amounts raised for the annual payments on non-state funded debt service that will help achieve the district budget for educational programs. Do I have a motion on Article 13? I have a motion and a second. Questions on Article 13? Yes, sir. No? Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we will have the written ballot on this question. The ballot box is in the rear. I believe you all have tickets that you can vote with. After you have all voted, pardon me?
You have to verify that the ballot box is empty before they...
I have to verify? Oh. Has everyone voted? It seems that everyone has voted, so we'll have the ballot count. The vote on Article 13 is 25 yes and 5 no. On Article 14, when I take a vote, you will please keep your hands up so we can count the votes. We need a hand count on Article 14. Article 14 summarizes the proposed school budget. To see what sum the town of Madawaska will authorize the school committee to expend for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020, and ending on June 30, 2021, from the town's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. Both the School Committee and the Finance Committee recommend $7,286,132. Do I have a motion on Article 14? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on Article 14, which summarizes the proposed school budget? Seeing none, all those in favor, and please keep your hands up so we can count the votes. Anyone opposed? The vote is 25 yes and 2 no. Article 15 authorizes the school nutrition program and raises the local share. To see what sum the town of Madawaska will raise for the school nutrition program, both the School Committee and the Finance Committee recommend $60,560. Do I have a motion on Article 15? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on Article 15 on school nutrition program? Mr. Dufour.
I think you answered the question a while ago, but why is it not included in the rest of our budget? Why is it included only after?
It's easier when I report to the Department of Education if I keep them separate. The department requires me to report in a specific format, and when it's included in the previous article, the Article 10, it makes it more difficult for me to separate the expenses and the revenues that clearly identify the school lunch.
So that's an added cost to our total school budget?
Yes, it
From the
is.
72, that's
It's a
7.2
decrease
million.
from last year. Last year was 114,000. This year it's 60.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 15, please signify. Any opposed? Article 16 authorizes the continuing education program and raises the local share. To see what sum the town will appropriate, recommended $110,208 for continuing education, and raise recommended $68,312 as the local share, with authorization to expend any additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the continuing education program. Both the School Committee and the Finance Committee recommend appropriating $110,208 and raising $68,312. Do I have a motion on Article 16? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on continuing education? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify. Any opposed? Article 17 authorizes the expenditure of grants and other receipts. In addition to amounts approved in the preceding articles, shall the Madawaska School Committee be authorized to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grant, programs, and other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. Both the School Committee and the Finance Committee recommend a yes vote. Do I have a motion on Article 17? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on grants and other receipts for education? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify. Any opposed? Article 18 authorizes the transfer of fund balances to a reserve fund. To see what sum the town of Madawaska will be authorized to transfer from the ending balance of the school district's general operating fund for the 2018 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020 years to the unfunded liabilities reserve account for the school department. The school committee recommends $80,000. As an explanation, as of June 30, 2016, the school department audit completed by the firm of Chester M. Carney indicated a liability for unpaid contracts resulting in a deficit. The audit recommends the school department should work to reduce its dependency on the use of fund balance in order to balance its budget and try to increase it incrementally over the coming years. Failure to do so will result in a significant tax increase or significant cuts once the fund balance is exhausted. Do I have a motion on Article 18? I have a motion and a second. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 18, please signify. Any opposed? Article 19 authorizes the issue of bonds for a health and safety renovations project at Madawaska Elementary School. Do you favor authorizing the town of Madawaska to issue bonds and other evidences of indebtedness in the name of the town in an amount not to exceed $109,378 to the State of Maine's zero interest rate loan forgiveness school revolving renovation fund program for Priority 1 health, safety, and compliance renovations related to life safety and security improvements to Madawaska Elementary School. A zero interest loan forgiveness program. The Maine Department of Education has awarded the town a loan in the amount of $109,378 to the state's zero interest rate loan forgiveness school revolving renovation fund program for this project. A loan principal forgiveness, the Maine Municipal Bond Bank will forgive approximately 51.58%, up to an estimated $56,417 of the total approved loan amount. Interest-free loan, the town will be obligated to repay approximately 48.42%, up to an estimated $52,961 of the total approved loan over a 5-year term. The Maine Municipal Bond Bank has agreed to lend these funds and to permit repayment at 0% interest. Both the school committee and the finance committee recommend a yes vote. There is further financial notes saying the total town indebtedness, bonds outstanding and unpaid are $15,141,026. The town has no bonds authorized but unissued. The bonds to be issued if this article is approved is $52,961 for an indebtedness of $15,193,987. The estimated cost of the proposed bonds of this bond issue will be $52,961 in principal and 0 interest over a 5-year term. The validity of these bonds and of the voters' ratification of these bonds may not be affected by any errors in the above estimated cost of proposed bonds. If the actual amount of total debt service for the bond issue varies from the estimate, the ratification by the electors is nevertheless conclusive, and the validity of the bond issue is not affected by reasons of the variance. Do I have a motion on Article 19 for a school renovations project at the Madawaska Elementary School? I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
This is probably a rumor. The rumor is it possible that the consolidated school could be null and void?
I didn't understand.
Like I said, it's a rumor.
If the consolidated school could be null and void? Is that what your question is?
The program, the story is that Fort Kent might be stepping out. So if they step out, it's no longer in force, right? It's a rumor. And if you don't know, it's a rumor.
The Valley Unified System, the elementary
reason
school
I'm
will
asking-
remain where it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Monsieur Abad, your question was, the rumor is that the Valley Unified High School project is kaput.
Could be, because Fort Kent might be backing out.
Right. So right now,
Are you aware of that?
right now, the project's on a hold. It's on a hold right now because the state of Maine Department of Education has asked that our 3 school districts look at the way that the governance structure will look like for that school. Right now, we have the Valley Unified Education Service Center, which we all share some services with, but that can't govern a school. It never was intended to govern a school, or it's not in law right now. So right now, we have representatives of this board who are talking with representatives from the other boards about how we're going to work through this issue. The project's not done. It's just on a hold right now.
No, the question, the reason I'm asking is, if it doesn't come through, we're putting money, dead money probably on the school.
Yeah, we're not sure if it doesn't happen. We're not sure. I know that the school committee here wants to work hard to make sure that we explore all possibilities to make sure that funds are not lost, because it's very important.
No, because you're going to have a liability of some odd thousand for 5 years. But if that it doesn't follow through, has there been thinking of thought that maybe the school on top of the hill might not be used, or, like I said, it's a rumor.
Right. Yeah, this project here that's being described here is a safety project. If you can all picture walking into the elementary school, you walk into doors and you don't see an office or anything. You have to walk around the corner to see an office. Yet you could walk right to the right and get right into the cafeteria. It's a safety concern. So this project would fund redesigning that entryway so you would have a safety vestibule, which essentially visitors would be behind a second set of doors so they couldn't access the students.
I agree what you're saying. I agree what you're saying. But we might be putting dead money.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article... Oh, Mr. Floor.
What is the state of Maine average per student cost-wise?
The average cost for elementary students is between $8,000 and $9,000, about $8,500, and for high school students, we believe it's about $12,000 to $13,000. So it's a different cost depending on the age of the student. And elementary is K to 8, high school is 9 to 12.
I'd ask the people here to take the amount of students that we are paying for, or the amount of students that we have, and look at the expense that it's costing us.
The state of Maine doesn't fully fund student tuition. It's just their average, which is underfunded.
Any other comments or questions on Article 19? Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to clarify that if this doesn't pass, then we don't get, what is it, a bond or a grant, and then we're open to very unsafe conditions without being able to monitor who's coming in the building and accessing our children. Am I correct? Do I understand that right?
Yeah, as you know, Mrs. Tingley, right now the doors do have a video monitoring system. They have to buzz in any visitors. But from that point of entry, once somebody is buzzed in, people have access to the building without seeing a human potentially, or seeing an adult potentially, because you have to round the corner. So we want to correct that issue so that somebody accessing the building doesn't have access to the cafeteria.
Right, so they can go in the caf, then get through the whole school without anybody seeing them.
Correct. It's
Okay.
just a safety measure.
It's a safety. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on Article 19? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 19, please signify. Any opposed? Thank you. This ends our warrant. What is the date for the... 27th. On the 27th of July, there will be a referendum vote on the budget that was approved here this evening. So take the time on July 27th to take a vote on the referendum. Thank you all for coming to this meeting and in these times that are so stressful. Thank you. See you. We'll see you.